All right, guys. I was worried about episode 5, right? I kept hearing all this fuss about how it takes this horrible turn in episode 5 and veers so far from the book. Well, I will say this. It veered quite a bit from the book, but it was in no way disappointing. I absolutely loved episode 5. This was it was so intense. Now, this might have been one of my favorite episodes. Like maybe episode 1, 2, 5. I don't know. I can't remember exactly. I just know episode 5 is definitely up there. Definitely near the top of favorite episodes of the show. I get it. It is a little different. Like his friend, I think her name is Liz. I can't remember. We talked about her before, but she's the one with the plane. And we've discovered now that at some point during an operation, he and his men saved her, including Rafe Hastings, which we have not gotten, I don't think, a mention of yet in this series, but it's like one of his best friends that actually comes into play in later books. And so, maybe we'll get to meet Rafe in season 2, hopefully. But yeah, I can't wait till that happens, because the stories between, James Reese and Rafe Hastings are fantastic, and when they come together, it's badass. But anyway, episode 5, man, dude, just him hunting down Steve Horn, and I predicted it in the last episode. I'm pretty sure that I said that he thinks that Steve Horn is the head of the snake, the end of the road, and that's his last person to track down. But we're only halfway through the season, so there's definitely going to be some other stuff that pops up, some other people to add to his list, and that's exactly what happened in this episode. So. One of the guys pharmaceutical guy that was wrapped up in it, he worked for Capstone Industries, I believe, and he decides he's going to defect because he's the one that came up with, I think he came up with RD4895, and we find out through so this guy decides he's going to defect because the reporter, she comes in and basically goes in there kind of threatening people, threatening Horn and threatening this guy, which I don't remember his name. I apologize. But she's in there, going like, hey, I'm gonna spill everything that I know. You guys need to tell me what's going on here. And this guy was actually caught off guard because this drug was not supposed to reach human testing. It wasn't ready for human testing yet. It had worked well in animals, different types of animals, and we're still in the testing phase for that. And it was not ready to be tested on humans. But apparently Capstone Industries went ahead and started secretly administering it to soldiers. And that is exactly what happened to Reese's SEAL team. That is why Reese has the tumor, and that is why all of his SEAL team likely had tumors as well, and there might be some other people in other branches of the military running around with tumors inside of them. But this is why they were getting rid of Reese's SEAL team, because, if all these guys pop up with tumors, they might start looking into what was put into their body, and then they might end up finding this RD4895 and tying it back to this company, ruining everything for the company. So this reporter comes in threatening to spill the beans, and this guy within the company, he's like, oh my God, I didn't know this was going on. So he decides he's going to work with her and kind of out this company and spill the beans. And Horn finds out about this and has this guy killed. And so things get really intense in this episode. So people are hunting. Why am I blanking on her name? The reporter in this. Sorry. Sometimes when I do these things off the cuff like this, names evade me. But either way, Reese is on his mission to get Horn, but he ends up finding out that, there's a lot more people behind this. People actually in the military, like people above him in his unit, people that he trusted, that he thought were his brothers and his, command that he trusted and worked for, and would never believe that they would have anything to do with this. And he finds out that, a lot of people knew about this. And the way he found out was they traced back that Horn was giving away a bunch of stocks in his company. He was giving away a bunch of stocks, and it turns out that what he was doing is paying these people off. He was paying them to do all this shit, and paying the people to take out Reese's family, and paying the people to take out the SEAL team, and he was doing that all by paying them in shares of the company. So, insane. Horn is not the last one, but in this episode, we get to see Horn taking out the little bitch he is. I think it was at the beginning of this episode when we finally discover that Horn is not, as I said in previous episodes, that I thought he was an operator of some sort of special forces. No, he's just a complete poser. A poser. He loves these guys. He loves military guys, but he's not one himself. He just acts like one. He even has, SEAL tattoos. Ridiculous. I love when Reese makes this EFP, this targeted bomb, projectile bomb, to take out this dude. Goes right up to the front of his office, and this is why it probably for a lot of people went off the rails, got a little unrealistic. He attacks in broad daylight, in the middle of the day, in the financial district, right? Just shows up and explodes an explosive right by this dude's truck, blows half his face off, but he's still living, gets out, starts taking out all of Horn's armed guards in the middle of the street. And this is where it gets a little unrealistic, right? The cops, no one showed up by then, even though they're being watched by the FBI and shit, and by NCIS. They're everywhere, right? But the cops don't make it there in time to have a showdown with Reese. I mean, really lucky for Reese, because he might have ended up accidentally hurting some police, some innocent people. But it's brilliant, man. The way he blows half of dude's face off with the EFP, and then he walks up to him, and the guy's freaking out, right? He's total bitch mode now. He's like, "Oh my God, please don't kill me, please don't kill me!" And Reese just walks up, shoots him in the head on the steps of his own building. It was glorious. It was glorious. And I love the kind of red herring of making you think that Horn was the head of everything, and then right at the end finding out not. And Reese had made a big thing of it earlier, saying that he wanted to ask Horn questions, but he didn't ask him a goddamn thing, dude. He just went in, blew his face off, shot him in the head, the end, and then makes his escape, like I said, without any police catching him, which was a little unrealistic. Maybe that's why people are like, "Oh, this is going off the rails," and there was nothing like that in the book. I don't give a shit. I'm glad it's not exactly like the book, because that's boring, man. If things turn out exactly like the book, then I know exactly how it ends. I know every beat, and that's no fun. So the changes they've made, I've absolutely loved in this series. So no complaints from me, even after the supposedly terrible episode 5 that I absolutely loved. And episode 6, I'm really looking forward to, because a lot of people, several people that I've talked to online, have compared it to First Blood, the first Rambo film. And that, first of all, that's one of the best Rambo films. And, based on the book First Blood. And it's just such an awesome story. A guy, I'm picturing him out in the wilderness running from authorities, and they're hunting him. That's what I'm picturing, and that sounds badass to me. So cannot wait to get into episode 6. I'm sorry I didn't have a video or podcast for you yesterday on this, but I'm back on it now. By sometime tomorrow, you should get my thoughts on episode 6. If you enjoy this episode, please give it a like, share it, all that good stuff. And if you enjoy what I do here, which is not only review this series and the Jack Reacher series and the Jack Reacher books and all kinds of books and TV series, but I talk about everything entertainment and pop culture. So if that tickles your fancy, then please subscribe to the channel, or favorite or follow the podcast. And if you do decide to stick around and subscribe, favorite, or follow, then I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Thanks.